The rain hammered the tin roof of the old Ford pickup like God's own judgment. But inside the cab, it was Carter's scream that shattered the night. "You're killing me, Dad, just like you killed them." The words ripped from his throat as his foster father, Reverend Harlan Graves, slammed on the brakes, the truck skidding across the muddy back road outside Willow Creek, Georgia. Blood trickled from Carter's split lip where Harlan's backhand had landed, but it was the photo clutched in his fist, a faded Polaroid of two young men embracing under a rainbow flag that burned hotter than any wound. Carter's chest heaved, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and bourbon on Harlan's breath. "You don't know a damn thing about your parents, boy," Harlan growled, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, eyes like storm clouds refusing to meet his son's gaze. But Carter did know. Fragments pieced from whispered rumors and a hidden shoebox under his bed. And tonight, with the truth clawing its way out, the boy who'd spent years burying his heart under layers of Southern stoicism felt it all unravel in the glare of the truck's headlights. The Polaroid trembled in Carter's hand, the edges worn soft from years of secret touches in the dead of night. It showed two men in their 20s, laughing under a parade banner in Atlanta, one with Carter's same crooked smile and wild curls, the other with a gentle arm slung around his waist like it was the most natural thing in the world. "This is them, isn't it, my dad's? Not some car crash lie you fed me." Carter's voice cracked, the rain outside mirroring the storm inside him. He'd found the box last week, tucked behind a loose floorboard in the attic while hunting for Christmas lights. Letters yellowed with age, a rainbow pin etched with "Love Wins 98", and that photo that made his stomach twist with a longing he couldn't name. Harlan's face hardened, the lines etched deeper by decades of sermons on fire and brimstone from the pulpit of Willow Creek Baptist. He was a man built like a oak tree, broad-shouldered and unyielding. His wife Evelyn a willow branch beside him, thin, pious, always clutching her Bible like a shield. They'd taken Carter in at 8, after the accident, plucking him from the chaos of Atlanta's foster system with promises of stability and salvation. But stability came wrapped in rules. No music with a beat, no friends who strayed, and certainly no boys holding hands in the high school parking lot. Carter had learned early to hide, the way he lingered too long on the curve of a teammate's neck during football practice, the flutter in his gut when Jake Harlan, no relation to the Reverend, thank God, brushed past him in the locker room. "Hand it over, son," Harlan said, voice low and final, like the gavel in his courtroom of conscience. But Carter yanked it back, stuffing it into his jeans pocket, the denim already soaked from the dash out of the house after dinner. Evelyn had caught him scrolling through Grindr on the family iPad. Innocent enough, or so he'd thought, just profiles to dream on. Her shriek had echoed through the kitchen. "Demon in our home, Harlan." The boys possessed, and now here they were, stranded on County Road 17, thunder rumbling like the devil's laughter. "You think I don't see it in you?" Harlan continued, turning in his seat, the dashboard light casting shadows that made him look like a stranger. "That softness is their curse, passed down like original sin. Your father's real father and his partner, they weren't good men, Carter. They chose that life, and it took him. Drunk driving after some parade, swerving off I-85. Left you alone because they couldn't keep straight with the Lord." The lie landed like a punch, but Carter had Googled enough in stolen library hours to know better. No obituary matched the dates Evelyn had given, just vague whispers from old neighbors about those boys up in Midtown who fought for rights nobody wanted. His real dads, Michael and Theo, had been activists, marching for marriage equality before it was cool, before Obergefell made it law. Theo's letters spoke of love fierce as Georgia Clay, of adopting Carter from a scared teen mom in '07, of building a home where rainbows weren't just flags but promises. We named him after Jimmy Carter. One read, "For the heart that changes worlds." Carter's eyes burned. "You're the one who's cursed us. Locking me in that room for praying wrong, making me read Leviticus till my eyes bled. I ain't soft, Dad. I'm just me." And Jake? He's the first person who saw me without wanting to fix me. Jake Harlan, confusing name aside, was the golden boy of Willow Creek High, quarterback, church youth group leader, with sun-bleached hair and a laugh that cut through Sunday service boredom like sunlight through stained glass. They'd stolen kisses behind the bleachers for months, Jake's hands tentative at first, then urgent, whispering, "I got you," against Carter's neck. It was the closest Carter had come to feeling whole since the shoebox discovery. Harlan's laugh was bitter, devoid of humor. Jake Harlan? The sheriff's boy? Boy, that's a match made in hell. You think he'd choose you over his future? College scouts. Daddy's badge. That life don't bend for. Whatever you are. He reached for the photo, but Carter slapped his hand away, the slap echoing sharper than the thunder. "Then why'd you take me in? Pity? Tax write-off for the Reverend." Carter's voice rose, raw and ragged. He'd spent years playing the part. Straight-A student, altar boy, the miracle child Harlan paraded in sermons. But inside, he was a live wire, sparking against the damp rot of repression. The foster system had chewed him up before the Graveses, bouncing between homes where belts swung for less than a sideways glance. Here, at least, the violence was cloaked in prayer. Harlan sighed, heavy as the humid air, and restarted the truck. "Because the Lord put you in our path. To save you from their mistakes." They drove in silence back to the two-story colonial on Elm Street, its white siding glowing ghostly under street lamps, the cross on the lawn a sentinel. Evelyn waited on the porch, shawl clutched tight, her face a mask of weary righteousness. "Come inside, child. We'll pray this out." Carter bolted past her, up the creaking stairs to his room, a Spartan cell with a twin bed, cross-stitched, Proverbs 22 verse 6, on the wall. And now, the shoebox hidden under the mattress like contraband. He locked the door, sliding down against it, the Polaroid pressed to his chest. Jake's last text buzzed in his pocket. "Miss you already. Bleachers tomorrow?" But doubt crept in, Harlan's words worming like kudzu. What if Jake was just experimenting? A phase before the straight and narrow? What if Carter was too broken, too cursed, to be loved right? Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with rain and rainbows, Michael and Theo's faces blurring into Jake's. Dawn broke gray, and school loomed like a battlefield. Willow Creek High was a microcosm of the town. Confederate flags faded on trucks, pep rallies chanting "Go Dogs," and a GSA club that met in the janitor's closet because the principal forgot the budget. Carter navigated it with a hoodie up, avoiding Harlan's parishioners who cooed, "Bless your heart," like it was a weapon. In homeroom, Jake slid into the seat beside him, all easy grin and cologne that smelled like pine and possibility. "Heard about last night. You okay?" His hand brushed Carter's under the desk, a spark that made Carter's breath hitch. "Yeah. Just family stuff." Carter forced a smile, but his eyes darted to the window, where Evelyn's minivan idled in the lot watching, always watching. Jake leaned closer, voice a conspiratorial whisper. We could run, you know. After graduation. Atlanta's got everything, pride, real jobs, places where we don't have to hide. His fingers laced with Carter's, thumb stroking the back of his hand, and for a moment, the world narrowed to that touch, warm and real. But the bell rang, and reality crashed back. Lunch was a minefield. Cheerleaders gossiping about that queer rumor about the new math teacher, jocks pounding lockers like war drums. Carter ate alone in the stairwell, scrolling Theo's letters on his cracked phone screen. Love isn't a choice, Carter. It's the air we breathe. Don't let them choke you. Afternoon practice was hell, coach barking drills, Harlan's shadow long even from the church office across the street. Jake threw perfect spirals, but his eyes kept finding Carter on the sidelines, water boy duties a thin excuse to linger. As the sun dipped, they met behind the equipment shed, Jake pulling Carter into a kiss that tasted like sweat and stolen time. I love you, Jake murmured against his lips, the words a lifeline. Carter pulled back, heart pounding. You say that now, but what about your dad? The sheriff who arrests degenerates on Friday nights. Jake's jaw tightened. Screw him. You're worth it. But doubt flickered in his eyes, and Carter wondered if it was fear or falsehood. That night, Harlan called a family meeting in the living room, Bible open on the coffee table like evidence. Evelyn's eyes were red-rimmed, her voice trembling. The devil's got his hooks in you, Carter. But we can cast him out. Youth group retreat next weekend. Immersion in the Word. Carter laughed, sharp and broken. Immersion? You mean conversion therapy disguised as camping? No thanks. I'd rather burn. Harlan's hand slammed the table. Under my roof. This ain't a roof, Carter shot back, standing tall for the first time. It's a cage. And I'm done being your project. He stormed out, the screen door banging like a gunshot. The streets of Willow Creek were empty, fireflies winking in the dusk. He walked to the old mill by the river, the place where kids snuck beers and secrets. There, under the sagging eaves, he pulled out the Polaroid again, tracing his father's faces. What would you do? He whispered to the dark. A twig snapped, Jake, emerging from the shadows, face pale. Saw you leave. Thought you might need this. He held out a joint, pilfered from his cousin's stash, and they lit it together, the smoke curling like ghosts. They talked for hours about Atlanta dreams, about Harlan's hypocrisy, rumors of the Reverend's own youth indiscretions in seminary, about the ache of loving in secret. Jake's hand found Carter's waist, pulling him close, and they made love slow and desperate against the mill wall, the river murmuring approval. Afterward, tangled in each other's arms, Jake whispered, We're getting out. Promise. Carter believed him in that hazy afterglow. But as he slipped home under cover of night, the shoebox's secrets gnawed deeper. One letter, unread till now, burned in his mind. If anything happens to us, know the church had a hand. They fear what we built. What church? Harlan's? The weak blurred school. Sermons. Stolen glances. Then Friday, the youth retreat loomed, but Carter had a plan. He'd confront Harlan with the letters, demand the truth. Jake would back him, They'd run if needed. Hope flickered, fragile as a match. But Saturday morning, Evelyn found the box. Her scream shattered the house. Harlan, he's got devil's work. Carter raced downstairs, heart in his throat. Harlan held the letters, face ashen. Where did you? Truth, Carter snarled. You owe me that. Harlan's eyes met his, and for the first time, something cracked. Regret? Guilt? Sit down, son. It's time. The living room felt smaller than ever, the air thick with the scent of Evelyn's chamomile tea gone cold. Harlan sank into his armchair, the letters splayed on his lap like indictments. Carter perched on the edge of the couch, fists clenched, Evelyn hovering by the doorway like a ghost afraid to haunt. Outside, the Georgia sun beat down mercilessly, mocking the chill inside. Michael was my brother, Harlan began, voice gravelly, each word dragged from a grave. Carter's breath caught. Uncle? The Reverend's eyes, so like his own in shape if not in fire, fixed on a spot on the carpet. Younger by 3 years. Wild from the start, always questioning, always pushing. We grew up in this town, same as you, fishing the Chattahoochee, singing hymns till our throats hurt. But college changed him. Emory, 92. Met Theo, their art major, all dreams and paint-splattered jeans. They fell into it. That lifestyle, Evelyn whimpered, crossing herself, but Harlan pressed on. I tried to save him. Sermons, prayers, even that first Pride March I followed, yelling scriptures from the sidewalk. Thought I was doing God's work. His laugh was hollow. Michael just smiled that damn smile of his and said, Brother, love's not a sin, hate is. They moved to Atlanta, adopted you when you were a baby. Little fighter, they called you, screaming from day one. Carter's mind reeled, piecing faces to names. The photo's curly-haired man, Michael, his uncle, had Harlan's jawline, softened by joy. Theo, the steady one, with eyes that promised forever. Then how'd they die? You said accident. Harlan's hands shook as he unfolded a letter, Theo's script elegant loops. Not accident. Murder. Disguised as one. The word hung, heavy as humidity. Evelyn gasped, but Carter leaned forward, pulse thundering. After DOMA passed, 96, they were suing pro bono with some ACLU hotshot. Test case for gay adoption rights. Willow Creek Baptist. We didn't take kindly. Protests, boycotts. I led them, fire in my veins, convinced it was righteousness. One night, after a rally, their car tampered. Brakes cut clean. They swerved off the interstate, into the woods. Cops called it drunk driving, empty whiskey bottle planted on the dash. But I knew. We all did. You, Carter's voice was a whisper blade. Your church killed them? Not my hand, Harlan said, but guilt bowed his shoulders. But my words fanned the flames. When they died, you were 3. Bounced around foster care till Evelyn and I. We took you to atone. Raise you right, spare you their path. Evelyn stepped forward, tears streaming. We loved you, Carter. Still do. That's why the rules, to protect you. Protect. Carter surged to his feet, letters scattering like confetti at a funeral. You buried me alive, made me hate myself for feeling what they felt. What you murdered. Rage boiled. Hot and righteous. The boy who'd memorized psalms now spitting them back like venom. He grabbed the Polaroid and bolted, the door slamming behind him. The street blurred through tears, sneakers pounding pavement toward the high school. Jake's truck was in the lot early practice. Carter burst through the gym doors, the echo of basketballs dying as players turned. Jake! His voice cracked. Bro. Jake jogged over, concern etching his brow. Babe? What's? Not here. Carter dragged him to the locker room, the stink of sweat and Axe body spray a familiar armor. Door locked. He collapsed against the cool tile, spilling it all. Uncles. Murder. The church's bloody hands. Jake listened, arms wrapped tight, murmuring Jesus, I'm sorry like a prayer. When Carter finished, Jake cupped his face, thumbs brushing tears. That's fucked. But you're not them. You're you. And I. A knock shattered the moment. Harlan, open up, Coach's voice, gruff. Jake paled. Shit, my dad's here. Sheriff's cruiser outside. Panic clawed Carter's throat. Harlan must have called, spinning tales of runaway sin. The door rattled, unlocked from outside. Sheriff Harlan, Jake's father, no blood tie to the Reverend but thick as thieves in town's moral mafia, barged in, badge glinting. Carter Graves, you're coming with me. Assault on a guardian. Assault, Carter sputtered. He confessed to. Save it for the station. The sheriff cuffed him, cold metal biting wrists, ignoring Jake's protests. Son, stay out of this. Jake's face crumpled, torn between blood and heart. The cruiser ride was silent torture. Harlan's words replaying. My words fanned the flames. At the station, a holding cell awaited, bars like the ones in his nightmares. Evelyn arrived, Bible in hand, praying over him through the slats. Forgive us, Lord. Cleanse this child. Night fell, endless. Carter curled on the bench, Polaroid his only company. Jake texted once, Dad's pissed. Can't talk. Love you. Then radio silence. Betrayal or survival? Morning brought bail. Reverend Harlan, eyes hollow. Home, son. We talk more. The drive was wordless. Evelyn's hand on Carter's knee a plea. Back in the colonial cage, Harlan led him to the attic, the box's origin. Dusty trunks held relics. Michael's Emory diploma, Theo's sketchbooks filled with portraits of a toddler Carter, grinning toothless, and files, yellowed court docs, redacted police reports hinting at the sabotage. Why show me now? Carter asked, voice small. Because you're right. It's a cage. And I built it. Harlan's confession cracked open, spilling decades, his own seminary doubts, a forbidden kiss with a roommate he'd buried under vows and Evelyn's adoring gaze. I hated them to hate myself less. But you're the mirror I can't shatter. For the first time, Carter saw him, not monster, but man, frail under the cloth. Pity stirred, unwanted. What now? Harlan sighed. Truth to the grave. I'll confess to the bishop, the cops. But you, graduate, go to Atlanta. Honor them. Evelyn nodded, tentative. We support you. In our way, doubt lingered, but a seed planted. School Monday was a gauntlet. Whispers of Crazy Graves' kid. Jake avoiding eyes in the hall. At lunch, confrontation. What the hell, man? Carter cornered him by lockers. Jake winced. Dad grounded me. Said if I see you, it's over college, everything. His voice broke. I can't lose it all, Carter. Not yet. The knife twisted. So I'm the yet? The phase. Tears stung. But Carter held steady. Go then. Be straight for Daddy. Jake reached, but Carter jerked away. Please. No. Heart-shattering. Carter walked. The echo of Jake's I love you, a lie in the wind. Weeks blurred, finals, forced family dinners laced with awkward grace. Harlan met with lawyers. Evelyn baked pies as peace offerings. Carter applied to Emory Michael School, scholarship in hand. Pride Month approached, Atlanta calling like a siren song. But Jake haunted, glimpses in town, eyes pleading. One night, bleachers under stars, he appeared. I broke up with Dad's expectations. Quit football. We're going together. Carter's walls crumbled. You mean it? Kiss sealed it, fierce and forgiving. They planned bus tickets, a tiny midtown apartment, jobs at coffee shops till classes started. Harlan even slipped Carter cash for new starts, his way of absolution. Graduation dawned humid, caps tossed like confetti. Families cheered, but Carter's eyes found the empty seats where Michael and Theo should sit. After party at the mill beers, bonfires, secrets shared. Jake pulled him aside, ring box in pocket, not proposal, but promise. Silver bands engraved, love wins. Firelight danced, bodies close. But as dawn crept, a cruiser rolled up, Sheriff Harlan, face thunderous. Jake, inside. Now, drama erupted, shouts, accusations. He's poison, the sheriff bellowed at Carter. Jake stood firm. He's my future. The standoff broke when Reverend Harlan arrived, uninvited. Enough, brother. Voices rose. Old sins aired, the church's shadow looming. In the chaos, a file slipped from the Reverend's coat. Unredacted report. Names linked to the brake job, deacons long dead, but Harlan's signature on the protest waiver. Truth exploded. The sheriff blanched. Jake gaped. Carter clutched the paper, victory bitter. You all killed them. And me, by proxy. Sirens wailed, state troopers, tipped by Harlan's earlier confession. Arrests loomed, not for Carter, but the ghosts. In the aftermath, Jake held him. We'll rebuild. Together, but as they drove to Atlanta that summer eve, bus rumbling north, Carter wondered, was love enough to heal bloodied roots? Atlanta swallowed them whole, a concrete jungle pulsing with neon and possibility, light years from Willow Creek's suffocating embrace. The Greyhound hissed to a stop at the downtown terminal, Carter and Jake stepping off into a humidity laced with exhaust and street vendor falafel. Carter's backpack sagged with essentials, clothes, the shoebox, Theo's sketchbook, and a knot of terror in his gut. This real, he murmured, hand tight in Jake's. Jake grinned, that quarterback swagger undimmed. Real as your green eyes, babe. They hailed a cab to a shoebox studio in Midtown. Rent split from barista gigs and a wait gig at a dive called the Eagle, leather bars and drag shows, worlds away from Baptist hymns. The apartment was a steal. Peeling wallpaper, a Murphy bed that creaked like complaints, but windows overlooking the Fox Theater's marquee, where rainbows flickered in summer dusk. First weeks were honeymoon haze. Mornings tangled in sheets, Jake's laughter echoing as Carter burned toast. Afternoons pounding pavement for jobs, evenings wandering Piedmont Park, hands linked without fear. Pride prep buzzed, floats assembling, vendors hawking glitter. Carter volunteered at the festival booth, handing out condoms and flyers, his voice steady. Love is love. Strangers smiled. No judgment. And for the first time, he breathed easy. Jake enrolled at Georgia State, business major to appease the practical voice in his head, while Carter prepped for Emory fall semester social work to fight the systems that orphaned kids like him. Nights, they cooked spaghetti from boxes, danced to Chapel Roan on a Bluetooth speaker, bodies sinking like they'd always known. "You're my home," Jake whispered one evening, tracing Carter's freckles under the hum of AC. Sex was exploration, tender, then wild, Jake's strength yielding to Carter's quiet commands, trust built brick by brick. But cracks spiderwebbed. Jake's calls home grew tense. Sheriff Harlan's gruff, "When you coming back sensible?" Evelyn sent care packages, Bibles, pecan pies, notes pleading come to Jesus. Reverend Harlan wrote too, letters of progress. Investigations reopened, Deacon's estates sued for reparations. A check arrived, settlement, 6 figures, for wrongful death. Carter stared at it, numb. "Blood money. Use it for good," Jake urged. "Therapy. School us." Carter donated half to Atlanta's LGBTQ youth shelter, the rest funding a trust for foster escapees. Felt like spitting on graves, but necessary. Still, nightmares clawed. Michael's scream as brakes failed, Harlan's backhand, Jake's avoidance in the cruiser shadow. Fall semester hit like a freight train. Emory's campus was ivy-wrapped dreams, quads alive with debates, libraries echoing with futures. Carter thrived in classes, his essay on queer family law earning prof praise. "You've got fire, kid." Jake struggled, parties pulling him into frat boy haze, shots blurring boundaries. "Just blowing off steam," he'd say, stumbling in at 2 a.m., breath sour. One night, after a midterms bender, Jake confessed over lukewarm pizza. "Met this guy at the bar. Nothing happened. But he looked at me like you do. No baggage." Carter's fork clattered, heart icing. "Baggage? Like my dead dad's? You're homophobic, Pops." Jake backpedaled, apologies tumbling, but the seed rotted. Trust frayed, late nights studying, texts from unknowns. Carter buried in books, volunteering doubled, avoiding the apartment's tension. Holidays loomed. Willow Creek invited them home, a reconciliation dinner. Carter refused. Not ready. Thanksgiving, they stayed in turkey from a food bank, Netflix rom-coms. But Jake's phone buzzed, "Dad. He wants me back. Says Emory's a mistake. Offers community college. A job at the station." His eyes pleaded. "What if?" Carter's world tilted. "Go then. Be the son he wants." "No, I choose." But the fight escalated. Words weapons. Carter's "you're ashamed." Jake's "you're obsessed with the past." A vase shattered. Glass like they're illusions. Jake stormed out. Days of silence. Carter wandered midtown alone. Pride banners tattered in winter wind. feeling the city's indifference. At the shelter, he mentored a kid, 14, kicked out for a diary entry, echoes of himself. "It gets better," he lied, voice thick. Reverend Harlan called, voice frail over crackly line. "Son, the trial's set." "Testify?" Carter agreed, flying south for depositions. Willow Creek was a ghost town in his eyes, church steeple mocking, river whispering accusations. Harlan looked older, gaunt, Evelyn's hand bird-like on his arm. "We're proud," she said, tentative hug smelling of lavender. Court was sterile hell. Lawyers parsing reports, a mechanic swearing to tampered lines, deacons' ghosts via affidavits. Carter took the stand, voice steady. "They loved me enough to fight." "You killed that." Jurors wept. Verdict. Guilty verdicts posthumous. Damages tripled. Harlan testified last, breaking, "I fanned hatred. Forgive what you can." After, at the mill, ironic pilgrimage, Carter scattered ashes from Theo's urn, kept secret. "Rest now." Jake appeared, unbidden, eyes red. "Heard about the trial. I messed up. That guy, one kiss, drunk regret. But losing you, that's the real crime." Carter wavered. "Raw." "Why?" "Because I'm scared. Of failing you, like they failed to protect themselves." Jake knelt, ring box from graduation proffered again. "Marry me? Not now, but someday. Build what they couldn't." Tears fell. Carter pulled him up, kiss salt sweet. "Yes. But no more hiding." Winter thawed to spring, Atlanta blooming riotous. They therapy tagged, couple sessions unpacking Harlan's legacy, Jake's daddy issues. Pride 2026 was catharsis. Carter on a float, Michael's photo held high, Jake beside him, hands linked for cameras. Chants of love winds echoed, and for once, Carter believed. But summer brought shadows. Jake's job at a startup soured boss's jokes about fairy tales, whispers of layoffs for distractions. He spiraled, gym rat to barfly, coming home reeking of cheap whiskey and cheaper cologne. Networking, he'd claim, but Carter smelled lies. One July night, post-shift at the Eagle, Carter found him, Jake, tangled with a coworker in their bed, moans mocking through the wall. World ended in silence. Carter slipped out, backpack slung, bus ticket bought on impulse. Atlanta's lights blurred as he rode south, not to Willow Creek, but Savannah, Theo's hometown, per letters. A cheap motel, days wandering squares moss-draped, ghosts of his dad in every fountain. Calls ignored, Jake's voicemails please, Harlan's concerns. Carter ghosted them all, diving into a temp gig at a bookstore, shelves a sanctuary of queer lit, James Baldwin, Audre Lorde, words like bomb. Weeks turned months. Jake showed up unannounced, hollow-cheeked. "I fucked up. Addiction, dad's genes, hiding who I am." Rehab pamphlet crumpled in his fist. "Come back, or let me earn it." Carter's heart warred. Love's embers versus betrayal's ash. "Earn it." "Alone." Jake nodded, broken but resolute. "I will." Autumn leaves fell like regrets. Carter transferred credits to SCAD art therapy, Theo's path. Classes healed, painting his pain, Michael's smile in oils. Harlan visited once, Tentative. Evelyn's starting a support group. For families. Progress. Fragile. Thanksgiving alone. Carter cooked for shelter kids. Laughter filling voids. Jake's letters arrived weekly. Raw. Day 30 clean. Miss your laugh. Building better. Carter saved them. Unread. Winter solstice. A knock. Jake. Sober 6 months. Eyes clear. Not to beg. To say, I love you. Always will. But if it's over. He trailed off. Ring offered final. Carter took it, slipping it on. It's not over. It's rewritten. Reunion was slow, boundaries, therapy, nights talking till dawn. Atlanta welcomed them back. Wiser. Graduation neared. Carter's thesis. Queer legacies. From murder to memory. Jake proposed proper, Piedmont Park. Under oaks. Knees muddy. Yes, Carter said, and meant it. But fate twisted. Spring break. A call. Harlan. Dying cancer. Swift. Willow Creek pulled them home. Bedside vigils. The Reverend, shrunken, gripped Carter's hand. Tell him. I repented. Last breath. Peace. Funeral packed. Mourners mixed. Rain lashing graveside. Evelyn wept. Jake held Carter steady. In the attic after. More boxes, videos. Michael and Theo dancing with toddler Carter. Giggles eternal. They stayed. Healing town's wounds. Carter leading workshops. Jake bridging sheriff's office to youth. Love deepened. Roots intertwining. Summer wedding. Small. Midtown rooftop. Rainbows overhead. Vows. In shadows and light. I choose you. Honeymoon in Savannah. Theo squares now theirs. Carter whispered to the river. We made it. Years folded like accordions. Time's mercy on scars. Carter and Jake's Midtown studio bloomed into a row house in Inman Park. Victorian charm. Backyard garden where tomatoes burst red as redemption. Carter finished SCAD with honors. Opening a gallery cafe hybrid. Rainbow roots. Showcasing queer artists. Foster stories in every canvas. Jake climbed corporate rungs ethically. Diversity consulting. Turning sheriff's son into ally architect. Their bed hosted more than passion. Late-night talks on baby books. Adoption dreams echoing Michael and Theo. Willow Creek faded to annual visits. Evelyn's group thriving. A plaque at the church. In memory of love's pioneers. The settlement funded scholarships. Bridges over old chasms. Carter testified in D.C. Once, congressional hearing on hate crimes. Voice unflinching. They died for my right to stand here. Hand in my husband's. Husband. The words still spark joy. 5 years wed. Anniversaries marked with park picnics. Jake's rings glinting as he sketched bad caricatures. Carter laughing till sides ached. But beneath bliss, echoes lingered, nightmares of tampered brakes. Jake's betrayal sent. One crisp October, change knocked. A letter from an Atlanta lawyer, DNA match. A half-sibling. Carter's bio mom, teen runaway. Placed him sight unseen, had died young, but left a daughter, Lila, 22, seeking connection. She knows your story, the note read. Wants to meet. Jake squeezed his hand over coffee. Road trip? Savannah first, then her. They drove coastal, windows down, salt air whipping doubts. Savannah welcomed like kin riverwalk strolls, Theo's haunts mapped from letters. At a Forsyth Park cafe, Lila waited, curly-haired echo of Michael, green eyes wide. I read about you. The trial, the gallery. You're like a legend. Hesitant hugs led to hours. Her life in flux. Nursing student. Bad breakup. Craving roots. Mom said you were loved fierce. Wish I'd known her better. Shared tears. Pie slices. Promises exchanged. Back home, Lila visited monthly. Folding into family. Thanksgiving chaos. Pride floats crew. She brought light, unscarred optimism, reminding Carter of pre-Graves' innocence. Jake doted, Uncle vibes early. But Joy's underbelly stirred. Jake's firm expanded, travel demands pulling him to D.C. LA nights alone, Carter sketching strangers' faces to fill voids. Paranoia crept, late texts, cologne whiffs. Just clients, Jake assured, but echoes of that July bed haunted. Winter solstice gala at the gallery, black tie queers, donors toasting. Carter mingled, pride swelling at walls alive with stories. Jake arrived late, tie askew, charm dialed high. A donor, silver fox, venture capitalist, lingered too long, hand on Jake's arm, laugh too intimate. Carter confronted in the alley, snow flurrying. Him? Really? Jake blinked, drunk on champagne. Flirt? Harmless. You're paranoid. Paranoid. Voice rose. Bro. Like when you fuck Chad. Or is it always harmless till it's not? Jake's face crumpled. That was years ago. I'm not a cheater. Carter hurled the word. Years' fears unleashed. You chose me over your dad. But what about now? Success? Spotlight? Am I still enough? Silence stretched. Broken by Jake's whisper. Always. But trust. We gotta rebuild it. Sober talks followed, therapy renewed. Jake's phone open. Boundaries etched. Vulnerability bared. Jake's fear of abandonment. Carter's of erasure. Spring brought bloom. Lila's graduation. Family swelled. They adopted Eli. For bounced foster like Carter once. Wide-eyed. Freckled. Clutching a stuffed rainbow unicorn. Daddies? He lisped first night, and hearts melted. Parenting was chaos symphony. Diapers at dawn, park chases, bedtime stories from Theo's book. Eli's giggles healed fissures, Jake's lullabies softened edges. But Eli triggered ghosts, night terrors of bad men, echoes of Carter's unspoken traumas. One storm-lashed night, Eli woke screaming. Carter rocked him, Harlan's old him humming low. Jake joined, arms encircling. We're the good ones, he murmured. Eli slept. They didn't, making love slow, reaffirming. Summer heat peaked with crisis. Reverend Harlan's old deacon, dying, confessed more names, motives, a second car involved. Cold case cracked wide. Headlines screaming Georgia church cover-up. Protests reignited. Willow Creek picketed. Evelyn called. Voice quaking. They're burning effigies. Help! Carter and Jake drove. Eli in tow. First town return with child. Tensions simmered. Slurs scrawled on church doors. But allies rallied. Evelyn's group. Lila flown in. Carter spoke at a vigil. Hate dies in light. We choose love. Torches dimmed. Hands linked across lines. Aftermath bonded. Jake promoted for Crisis PR. Carter's gallery booked solid. Fall harvest. They scattered more ashes. Theo's last vial at the mill. Eli tossing petals. For the daddies who flew away. Years accelerated. Eli's school plays. Lila's wedding. To a barista with killer tattoos. Grandkids on horizon. Jake grayed handsome. Carter's curls silver-streaked. Anniversaries stacked. 20. With Vegas drag brunch. 30. Quiet river cruise. Old age crept gentle. Aches in joints. Stories retold. Eli, out at 16, brought home a boyfriend. Nerves mirrored Carter's youth. Proud? He asked. Immensely, Carter said, hugging fierce. Final chapter, hospital bed. Jake fading, heart sudden. Carter held his hand. Eli and Lila bedside. Loved you from bleachers to forever, Jake rasped. Rainbows waiting, Carter whispered. Jake smiled. Gone. Grief tsunami, but Carter swam. Gallery legacy to Eli. Memoirs penned. Roots unburied. Willow Creek honored. Statue of Michael and Theo. Hands clasped. Decades later, gray-haired Carter at Pride. Cane-tapped march. Eli's arms steady. They'd be proud. Dad. Carter nodded. Eyes on sky. We all are. In the end. Not fairy tale perfect. But human true. Love's messy arc from murder's shadow to memory's grace. Carter breathed deep. Rainbows eternal.